No, I'm not talking about AEW All In. Come on now, we talk about the big leagues here. We have talked about WWE and TNA's partnership before, but things have taken a major turn with both companies now entering into a multi-year partnership. This is huge. We all knew how Triple H was always willing to work with other companies, but a proper and formal partnership of this magnitude? Nobody saw this coming, and oh boy, things don't look so good for Tony Khan, do they? There are both positives and negatives to this entire situation, and that's why I'm here to analyze the whole thing. So today, let's take a look at how this multi-year partnership between WWE and TNA could play out, right here on JRSlobberKnocker. Let's get right into it. 2024 was nothing short of spectacular for both WWE and TNA. The Royal Rumble saw the appearance of none other than TNA Knockouts World Champion at the time, Jordynne Grace. Grace looked like an absolute star, and it felt as if the woman belonged in the big leagues, and that has a lot to do with how she was presented in the match. Many knew that her appearance wasn't going to be a one-off, and WWE and TNA could be doing something big in the future. Soon, more stars from TNA started to appear on NXT, and talents from NXT went on to make their presence known on Impact. One thing that I should note here is that the performers didn't just show up to have a match and take a paycheck. Most of them were factored into storylines. NXT was telling great stories with different TNA stars. At one point, it was the TNA performers who made NXT a must-see. This goes to show you that TNA does have a great pool of talent. We went on to see Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez tear the house down at NXT Battleground for the NXT Women's Championship. The Rascals reunited only for Wes Lee to turn heel and have banger matches against Zachary Wentz. NXT stars like Tatum Paxley, Sol Ruca, Wes Lee, and the No Quarter Catch crew did their job well when they were sent to TNA. However, if there's anyone who stood out the most in this entire situation, it's none other than Joe Hendry. Hendry became a sensation, and he not only helped in getting more eyeballs on TNA, but he was able to rack up social media numbers for WWE as well. Hendry's segments were some of the most viewed posts on WWE's social media accounts. He was so over that WWE put him in the main event of NXT No Mercy against Ethan Page for the NXT title. When was the last time a non-WWE contracted performer main evented a major show? It surely wasn't going to happen under Vince's watch. Sure, at times it felt like WWE was insinuating that they were the superior company, but that didn't stop the TNA performers from stealing the show most weeks. All those weeks of TNA and NXT stars going back and forth had people thinking if both companies were planning something big. Well, they were planning on doing something extraordinary, as both companies have announced that they are entering into a formal multi-year partnership. This is a win for all the talent involved. However, one thing to note in the whole situation is that the partnership is mainly going to focus on NXT superstars rather than the main roster ones. So don't get your hopes high just yet to see AJ Styles back on TNA. So what are the positives of this formal partnership? TNA has everything to gain here. The exposure and the TV time their talents are going to get could very well bring more eyeballs to the TNA product. Just like I said, TNA has a great roster, and they need to be showcased on a much bigger platform, which WWE has been providing so far. On top of that, the interest in TNA would go through the roof if stars like Oba Femi and Trick Williams appeared on Impact. And if TNA gets a much better TV deal down the line, then what else could they ask for? You could make a case that WWE doesn't have anything to gain from this, and for the most part, you'd be right. However, that doesn't mean that this partnership won't be bringing in many major advantages to the biggest wrestling company in the world. WWE did a great job with NXT last year. Still, when NXT gets boring, it can literally put you to sleep. This is where TNA comes into play. More talented TNA performers could feud with performers like Charlie Dempsey and Kalani Jordan, and you can get months of storylines out of these cross-promotional rivalries. This partnership is also going to help the NXT talents who could use the expertise of the veterans present in TNA. Several NXT performers would benefit a lot by getting in the ring with TNA performers, and that would only speed up the process of getting them ready for the main roster. While we don't know if main roster superstars would be appearing in TNA, TNA performers could show up on the main roster when needed. Joe Hendry's appearance in the Men's Royal Rumble is looking like a major possibility now, and who knows, maybe we could see TNA female performers in the Women's Royal Rumble match as well. The possibilities with this partnership are endless. I mean, we could see AJ Styles return to TNA and have matches with different performers. Nick Nemeth making his way back to WWE? That would be pure insane. The Hardy Boys going up against Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, or Fraxium? Yes, please. A potential PLE that pits WWE stars against TNA stars is now more possible than ever. This would be their version of AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door. Fans would be all over the moon for the concept, and only time will tell if both companies proceed with the idea. The only downside to the entire situation is that WWE might only be interested in seeing which TNA star they could potentially sign in the future. Jordynne Grace could very well sign with WWE soon, and Joe Hendry could also be thinking about a switch when his TNA contract comes up. After all, WWE is cutthroat most of the time, and they will look into what benefits them the most. This is what Tony Khan has been accused of as well. AEW benefited a lot from its partnership with New Japan. Stars like Will Ospreay and Jay White signed with AEW after spending years with New Japan. Even Okada, who many believe would never leave New Japan, went to AEW. This is not a knock on the performers who won a better contract, but it shows that New Japan didn't benefit much from their partnership with AEW. The Forbidden Door pay-per-views have also run out of steam. The last one was the weakest yet, and many are not anticipating this year's to be any different. This relationship between WWE and TNA is what the industry needed, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out. 2025 has begun with a bang. So what do you guys think about WWE and TNA entering into a formal partnership? Are you excited about the whole thing? Let us know in the comments below. You might also want to check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Make sure to subscribe to JRSlobberKnocker for more.